U.S. Senate candidate Dwayne Stovall.
Thank you. Wade Miller's a fine man, by the way. I happen to know him. He does very, very good work. And he mentioned something called compromise. It was explained to me in very simple terms. I think everybody will get it. One of our parties has become very stupid, and one of our parties has become very evil. And every once in a while, they both get together and they do something together. And it's both evil and stupid. We call it bipartisan. That's bipartisan. My name is Dwayne Stovall. Was a candidate for U.S. Senate here in Texas. I was compelled to run for it because it just seems like nobody understands the proper role of a U.S. Senator. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a Tea Party group or a Liberty group or a GOP club or whoever it is you're in front of, people just have lost their understanding of our constitutional position, what our positions are supposed to do, what our Constitution meant, what it created. And I'm not a scholar or a formally educated person in the Constitution. I'm just a native Texan who happened to have taken up the Constitution in personal study about 7 years ago. I wanted to know what it created. What were we gifted with? What I found out after about 15 minutes with this was that what the framers created and we were gifted with isn't anything close to what we live under today. Exactly. You can clap. It's sad, but the fact is that republic based in federalism, in which federalism is the principle that the states have all the expansive powers, and the federal government was supposed to have those limited, few enumerated powers. Remember that?
Yes. 10th Amendment.
Yeah, 10th Amendment. Yeah, those are things you're not supposed to talk about, but in hushed tones. That framework, that Constitution that we were gifted, no longer exists. What we have today is a nation with a capital N based in socialism. Now, I'm going to say a few things, and if it offends you, then okay. If it's going to hit a few people across the face with how much common sense it makes. We don't live in the United States anymore. We live in the United State. It's singular. The Declaration of Independence said we were free and independent states, as we should be. That does not exist anymore. You and I live in this. For those of you who live in Texas, anybody visiting Texas today? Hey, good to be here. Good to have you here. We live in the United States. We live in the county of Texas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Our state legislature gets together not to manage our own affairs, but to figure out how they can get as much of our money back from the federal Leviathan as they can. And they basically institute the whims of a few elites in a town far, far away. So if you understand the historical relevance to that, that's significant. We're 316 million people in the United States of America. We're managed by 546 individuals. That's not a good formula. Historically, that's never been a good formula when you centralize all the power with just a few. And that's what we've done. In more real terms, we're actually managed by 5 of 9 unelected individuals. So, yeah, that's a little scary when you start thinking about how that works out throughout history. The free and independent states has been destroyed, and we've got to recover that. Now, for me, this is my own study. We have 2 battles going on. One is economic. That economic correction that we all talk about is going to happen. You cannot stop that. That correction, that devaluation of the dollar we've done for the last 100 years, and the Fed's, what are we on now? Quantitative easing infinity? Right? How many people have retired 10 years ago who thought they had enough money to last the rest of their lives, and it's depreciated by 30 or 40% just in the last 10 years? They're trying to figure out how they're going to make it work, and how many of them are going back to work now? Okay, well, that's our own policy. So the scary part for me is that Gallup had a poll of 2 months ago nationally, and the number one worry for Americans was overgrowth of government. Okay. If you ask anyone walking in the street, can we maintain the the path that we're on by creating this debt and spending all this money on unconstitutional agencies and such. No, we can't. They'll all answer that. The sitting Congress has a 12% or less approval rating. How is it the vast majority of them get reelected? How is that possible? It's corruption. There's a lot of sheeple involvement here. There's a lot of people going by what they get mailed to them in their mailbox and their email. And, I ran against a senator who spends $10 million on, I'm conservative, just like you. Just like Texas. They're fighting Obama every day. Hey, by the way, when it comes to Obamacare, how about just don't comply? Those are good words, by the way. Just don't comply. I'm never going to participate. I'm never going to get on the website. I'm never going to go there.
It's none of their business.
Hey, it's like my guns. I had somebody running for state office the other day say, "We're not going to let them come get your guns." And I went, "Hey, I kind of got that covered." Right? You get that? I kind of got that covered, Matter of fact, I don't know anybody in my county that doesn't have that covered. So, I'm here today because of people like you. For the last year, I've spoken to about 15,000 people face to face. I feel like as a native Texan who's just a dad, I've got 3 children, I'm in Liberty County. Great name for a county, by the way. I sit on the school board, I'm a small business owner. There was absolutely nothing above average about me. I'm just a native Texan. But this native Texan went out and told the truth, spoke fidelity to the Constitution, spoke federalism, and took double digits in a statewide race against a man who's been in office for over 20 years. I was pretty proud of that. Over 140,000 of my fellow Texans came to the poll and represented me. That's impressive. I'm blown away by that. I had the largest campaign in the state. For those who don't know who I am, we had over 1,000 volunteers on my behalf. I was floored, humbled by the whole thing. When you show up in a town you've never been to in Texas, and I got to tell you, I've been building bridges all over the state of Texas for 10 years. There's not a whole lot of towns I haven't been to. But when you show up in a little town, and there's a half a dozen people that are waiting to help you that you've never met before, man, that will humble you just like that. But it was a really neat educational experience for me. I got to see people who are true patriots like here today. The problem is the grassroots, we don't have the power that we want. For some reason, and you can look at Senator Cornyn, he turned a blind eye to the grassroots, period. And you know why? Because statistically, he does not need us. Statistically, 60% of those that voted in the primary voted for more government and more debt. They voted for more slavery. What do you do about that? Ultimately, it is educate. And we're going to have to share this with everybody. Now look, in January, I started what's called the Keep Texas Free Initiative. I'm going to be traveling the state, putting on these little seminars, and they're going to be very simple. Very simple. I don't like getting off into the weeds and getting all this. I can talk to scholars all day, and they can talk above my head. I understand federalism like it's the back of my hand. I want to convey the understanding of what that relationship is supposed to be between the state of Texas and the federal government. I want to convey the understanding of what federalism actually means. That the Supreme Court is not the final arbiter of everything all the time, every day. That we as Texans, there's 26 million of us, folks. We have way more than enough smarts and enough resources in the state of Texas for us to manage our own affairs outside those limited, enumerated, delegated powers given to the federal. Anything outside those enumerated powers, they need to pound sand and stay on the other side of the Red River.
There you go.
I am not a secessionist. That always comes up because I talk such a hard line on federalism. This is not Texas against the other states. This is Texas needing to be the salt and the light to set the example and to tell these other states it's us against this out of control Leviathan government. That is the truth. Anybody who thinks that federal government or national government, no longer federal, is doing anything on the behalf of us, the citizens, you're living in la la land. It has nothing to do with anything other than growing its power at the expense of us. The debt that's created is created by it, not you and I. So it's people like us. We're it. We're the last line of defense. So I'm pumped when I get around people like you. Because the fact is, you are the Patriots of today. And every few generations, like it or not, there's a generation that's called on to protect liberty from tyranny. And I swear to you, I believe it's mine. We here today, we see it. We see what's coming down the road. It's coming. There's two battles going on. One's economic. The economy's going to make a correction. The other one is the government. What government do you want, and how do you want it operated? Do you want the republic to function as it was designed, or do you want to continue down this pathway to socialism and ultimately communism? No. We can win that one. The battle over the economy, that's kind of like a wreck that you just need to do the best thing you can to protect yourself while you're going through it. How the government operates, we can control that. We absolutely can control that, especially here in the state of Texas. I'm a big advocate for all corrections. All corrections are going to come from the state. You're never going to get the federal government to have a majority of their membership to make the decisions necessary to rein in its power and live within the Constitution. It's not going to happen. The fact is, that national government is completely unlimited. It's completely unlimited. It can do anything it wants, any day it wants, and it's got 9 unelected individuals to say, it's constitutional, people, just move along. It's out of control. Let's just say it like it is. It is not looking after our best interest. It's looking after its own best interest. It's driving the car, and we have no control over it, where it goes or how fast it goes. I believe that if we can concentrate on our state, be the example, push our state legislators to have a backbone, to say, no, we won't participate in Obamacare. To say, and by the way, the Second Amendment, that's a restriction on you, and you shouldn't even talk about it. We'll handle guns in Texas ourselves. Right? By the way, if that kind of scratches your head for a second, I suggest you read the preamble to the Bill of Rights. The first Congress was crystal clear. The states came together of their own free choosing to put further constraints on its abuses, not their own. Like I said, free and independent states, it all works together. There's 50 different states with 50 different constitutions and 50 different bills of rights. Don't forget that. They mean something. They really do. We've been nationalized to the point where today we all live under this supposedly limited constitution with this federal Bill of Rights that the first Congress told everybody was going to restrict it only. What's our Constitution mean? Nothing? It means something. And because of people like you, we're going to make it mean even more. I want to tell y'all, this is what I'm going to end with, because I don't even have to read it, I can tell you. What gives me hope is when I get around people like this, you remind me of something. Everybody knows who Bum Phillips is, right?
Yeah.
How many of y'all read his What It Means to Be a Texan? You know what I'm talking about? Bum Phillips was asked one time, what does it mean to be a Texan? And it took him to heart, and he wrote a piece about it. He literally sat down and wrote it, and it was published. And he made reference, and I totally agree with him here. He made reference when William Barrett Travis in 1836 penned his letter where he said it was going to be, he would only accept victory. It was victory or death. Right? He believed that William Barrett Travis, what he was really saying was that he and his men were forged of a hotter steel. I think they were, and I think we are. This group who took their time on a rainy day to come out here and talk about what we can do to correct the path of this state and this America, this union, we're those people. We're forged of a hotter steel. I'm proud to be out here with each and every one of you. And this fight has only just begun. I'm a native Texan who is motivated to get off the couch and get involved. I'm not politically aligned with anybody, but I'll stand next to any one of you before I stand next to one of these lifelong politicians in a heartbeat, and we'll get this thing corrected. Just stay together, keep your chin up, and let's keep going. What else we got to lose, you know? Thank y'all for having me. Oh, by the way, if anybody's interested in having one of those Keep Texas Free seminars anywhere you're at in the state, I don't care where you're at, and they're free, go to contact@Texans4Stovall. That'll go right to me. I'll respond to you. Contact@Texans4Stovall. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Tell you what, America would do well to have about 97 more of him in Washington, D.C. I wonder if it's possible to clone him.